YouTube, Brian Phillips here. We've got the Habu STS 70mm jet trainer. That's right, you heard it. Jet trainer. We're gonna fly this on the 3000 milliamp all the way forward. This is a provided 3000 milliamp smart pack. My camera crew grabbed a 4S. This is actually a 3S. We're gonna use the 4S on the next video. Sorry, camera crew. We're gonna start out in beginner mode. Then we're gonna go to intermediate mode, which is a waste of time. Don't even use that. And then we're gonna go to experienced. Don't forget you have the panic button there at your discretion. Throttle cut here, high rate, low rate. We're gonna start in high rate and probably stay in it the whole time. The wind is coming down the runway, which is good, but it's a little bit windy, so we'll see how that works. We may have to come out of the beginner mode just for the sake of avoiding things like power lines and trees and houses and things like this. Throttle cuts off. Look at that beauty. Are you ready? Mm-hmm. Elevator, rudder, steerable nose gear, ailerons. Oh, that is awesome. Even beginner mode, it's doing great. Guys, look at this. I'm not even looking. Where is it? Oh crap, it's way up there. Okay, so here we do, guys. Oh, the beginner mode does give you enough down. Surprising. Awesome. Okay, that was enough of beginner mode. Now we're into experienced mode. Got a little bit of wind, a little bit of heat, a little bit of thermals going here. What a beauty. This is on 3S. It's nice and tame, really easy to fly. It's just super predictable. It's almost like flying a prop plane, except it's a jet and it looks cooler, except for that nose gear, which is ugly. But look at that thing. That thing's flying pretty quick. Man, it flies good too. So cool. Guys, we're in high rates here. In experienced mode, that rudder's got plenty of authority there. You can do a nice little stall turn. Full speed downhill. Whoa, yeah, buddy, up against the blue sky. Hopefully you can see it on camera.
Probably not.
Oh, yes, you can. Camera crew's the best on YouTube. Going up again for another loop. Wow. It is so well behaved and strangely responsive. It's kind of like flying in absence of gravity. I don't quite understand it yet. Panic! Sorry for everybody's ears. I want to see a stall in this thing, guys. And when I say a stall, I mean an all-in stall. I'm going to go up here and see if I can stall the thing. I got to get pointed to the wind. I don't want to lose the plane. Okay, so here we go. Out of the throttle. Pointed into the wind, experienced mode. We're just gonna let it stall, if it will. Guys, look at this, not even looking. There it goes nose down. All right, we're gonna try again. This thing is so good at flying, it just doesn't wanna stop. 4S is gonna give you that extra layer of excitement, but guys, this thing is great for learning on because look how easy it is to fly. Using full rudder input, giving that nose just a little bit of up, and look at that's the stall. Are you kidding me? That's the stall. Panic even takes you out of it. Okay, guys, this thing doesn't stall. It just flares beautifully. Full throttle. Wow. I think my camera crew could totally fly this plane.
Right.
No, I'm serious. I'm serious. You could. It's like a really easy flying plane. Very easy, very predictable. You got room to spare on all the control authority. I don't feel like I'm constantly nervous if I'm gonna have enough impact on the elevator to get the nose out of a dive. I mean, it just behaves well. Look at this, look at this. Look at that, look at that. Enough power to get out of the grass there, doing that stupid maneuver. Seriously, guys. Did you see how close I was to the ground? Totally out of the throttle for a long time, and I still got on the throttle and just went right out of it. Oh, well, I am on my flashing light. You guys see the flashing light? I don't know if you can tell. Whoa, never mind, I lied.
No, it just went to flashing again.
That's because under load it does.
Oh.
Hey, you need to get off of the runway. Sorry, hon. Back another step, please. Thank you. It's got plenty of power, guys. I really like the way it flies. As you can see, it's carrying a little bit of speed, but it's just so predictable and so easy to fly. I'm really happy with it. Horizon, good job with this one. This is on 3S still. I want to see it on 4S so I can be excited. We're going to land in experience mode just because I got to get over these trees, using a little bit of rudder to slip it in. Woo-wee! Steering violently to stop it, maybe. And we're going to do a little taxiing in the grass. That big wheel gives you lots of grass handling capability. And look at the turning radius. Did you see that?
Yeah, that's pretty crazy.
That is incredible. You just don't get that on beginner planes, guys. Look at this. Look how awesome that turned. It turns better in grass than it does on the pavement. Man, that big ugly wheel.
See, sometimes they're not all bad.
You see that? There's a flat spot in my big ugly wheel too. Guys, okay, throttle cuts on and tested. This plane, I got 2 lights left, okay? 2 lights left on the Smart Pack. This thing would probably go another 5 minutes, I bet. I am in love with the way this thing flies, okay? Horizon, good job. We're using everything that was provided with the exception of the fact that this happens to be a 3S 4000 that we use from another plane. Doesn't really matter. We just wanted it to be charged. This thing flies. It does everything that it says it should do, and we haven't even played with the simulator yet. So to be perfectly honest, this thing comes out of the box. Comes with the transmitter, comes with the battery, comes with the charger, comes with the plane, comes with everything you need to put the plane together, comes with the batteries for the transmitter, and it comes with the USB dongle to plug into your PC. It comes with a free copy of E-flite Trainer Edition. You have to download that, I believe, from Stream or something like that. Anyway, it's in the box. You'll figure it out. And you can use this with your computer to practice on this plane that is going to be included at a later update if you have E-flite, just so you know. Amazing. This thing flies like a simulator because it flies that easy. I'm serious, camera crew. Don't look at me that way. It flies like a simulator because it just flies good. I can't wait to see what it does with 4S. I kind of, you know, and the funny thing is this thing tests a little bit tail heavy and it still flies like a daydream, okay? That being said, on beginner, I had enough elevator authority to get up over the power lines at our relatively compressed flight field. On experienced, I was able to use the rudder to drag it in and get it down on the ground. Once on the ground, incredible authority with the nose gear, incredible rudder authority in the air, very good ample elevator authority, good roll rate. I mean, there's really nothing to complain about except that it doesn't have flaps and LEDs. But I complain about that on every plane. So that being said, this thing is definitely a winner, guys. I think this is easier to fly. Wait for it.
What?
Wait for it.
What?
This thing is easier to fly than the Carbon Cub S2.
Really?
Yep. Easier. Easier.
Interesting.
Okay. Prove me wrong. Prove me wrong, YouTube. Easier. All right, we're going to 4S next. 4S. Right in the middle between the straps as prescribed by the manual. We checked the CG, still feels just a little bit on the tail heavy side, which is exactly what you want on this plane evidently. Okay, we're in beginner mode for this takeoff. Oh yes, so good. Beginner mode on this plane is so good, guys. I thought it was gonna be horrible, but Horizon did all the right moves on this thing. No throttle, as you can tell. There's plenty of down. There's plenty of down. That's full down right there. Full throttle and plenty of bank. There's your full limited bank angles. And then out and then back. Awesome. She moves on 4S, guys. Okay, in experience mode here, we're gonna just do some lower passes here. I can definitely imagine this thing, wow, it's got like almost unlimited vertical. I don't want to call it full unlimited vertical because it's not, but it's pretty good. Man, she cruises. Scooting. Man, the 4S just does the trick though for power. I definitely feel like this plane is easier to fly than the Carbon Cub S Plus. S2, not the S Plus. The S Plus GPS is the first version. We're on to the Generation 2. But I mean, I just feel like this plane is just a good flying plane. It really is. And you've got plenty of power on 3S to have an enjoyable experience. Let's be honest. The 4S just pushes it over the edge. It makes it an actual fun. For an experienced flyer, it's still fun on 4S. I kind of wish Horizon would come out and tell us that you could jam a 6S in there, and that'd be really awesome. But let's be honest, 6S would be crazy. And I'm really enjoying this plane as it is. It flies good, it flies slow. It's a good trainer. It's definitely not boring. I was scared to death it was gonna be exactly that with that big ugly landing gear. Camera crew, what do you think of it?
I think it's cool. I mean, there's cooler like looking jets overall, but for what it's designed for,
Into beginner mode here.
I think it's
A little bit of throttle just to get over the vampire killing zone. I want to see if I can force it in here for a bit of a landing, if we can get her to slow down just enough. There you go. See how easy that is, guys? Well, I agree with you though. I mean, there's better looking planes, but there's angles that this plane does better with, you know? I feel like, unfortunately, a lot of the marketing for this plane gives, you want to try to picture the product, but I feel like the pictures that they're sharing sometimes aren't the flattering angles, and the Habu definitely has some unflattering angles. Which is funny, because I thought the same thing when I first got it, and I loved flying that thing. It just, I could never land it because I'd break the nose off every time I would do anything. See what I'm doing, guys? I'm going in a circle. I'm just bleeding off my power, and I'm using the full rudder both ways to slip it in, and then I just flare at the end. Super fun to land that way. I'm sorry, you were about to say something there, camera crew.
well, okay. I was just gonna say there. Like, I know you hate the way the landing gear looks,
But they work.
but they work, and it looks cool when you come in and you stick it every time.
Whoa. Every
Yes.
time?
That's what I said.
Okay.
Also, back to my original, what I was gonna say. When you said I'm getting a Habu, my original thought was the UMX, which was a terrible experience.
Well, and that
So
was,
this one is like way cooler.
you got to remember too, that was the UMX Habu was safe. They had
Right.
one before my flying times that was an AS3X only, and it had a better experience. Some people were able to hype it up with 3S. That was a 28 millimeter EDF. The 28 millimeter EDFs never perform that great.
Yeah.
The 30 millimeter EDFs are glorious. The UMX Cessna Citation, to be Cessna Citation Longitude UMX, case in point.
Well,
Touch and go on grass, guys.
the other thing is, even with as much as you fly jets, they're
Still scary to land.
They're still scary.
And it does definitely dissuade a pilot from flying.
Yeah.
Because I will not typically pick out a jet because it's just challenging to land. And it's not because I'm not up to it. I have the skills to do it. I just don't necessarily want to be put in a position where it's stressful.
Right.
I just want to do it for fun. Like flying the Delta Ray. That's what this reminds me of.
Yeah, this is
The
just fun.
Delta Ray was just so much fun. And it wasn't like the most beautiful plane ever. I didn't
No.
think it was. But at the same time, it was so much fun.
Yeah, this one is fun to watch because I'm not having a heart attack thinking about you having to land. Because
And look
it
at
just
that.
looks good.
And I gotta say, guys, this controller leaves nothing to be desired at the moment.
Which is crazy.
And you would think it's just a crappy included remote. No, it's not. It's good. It feels good. I don't feel like I need to screw with Expo. I don't feel like the rates are a problem at all. Oh, actually, speaking of, I'm gonna go to low rates. Oh yeah, that's low rates. The low rates are just way more relaxed, guys. And you can do low rates or high rates with beginner mode or experience mode. It doesn't matter, but just remember, you're gonna have bigger loops. Let's show you that actually. Let's go into a flat. Okay, so here we go. Here's high rates, or that's low rates, and then high rates. You can see the difference immediately. So now let's do a loop. Full throttle. There's full, I don't wanna do that over the neighbor's property here. Let's go like this. There's high rates loop, okay? Can get it around just fine. Now, let's do a low rate loop. You can see how much longer it takes. I gotta get out of the throttle because otherwise I wouldn't have had enough room. The one thing you do need to keep your eye on when you're flying a plane like this, if you're new, is you need more room and you gotta have better eyes. But honestly, the visibility on this plane is great. Did you see what I did there? I'm slipping it down so I can lose my altitude, but I don't lose airspeed, which means I can still flare it. Look how short of a landing strip that would have required.
Yeah.
Now that is something that takes a little bit of experience, because what I was doing is I was flying it in like this, right? And then I just turn it sideways and let it fall. See what I'm doing? So I'm basically flying along, and then I just use the rudder and the ailerons contrary to one another. Woo! I used up too much energy in that, and so I didn't have enough to recover as quick as I was hoping. Let's look at the green lights there, camera crew. Can you see?
You're flashing on your last light.
Okay, I'm gonna probably go ahead and, there's my warning.
There it is, yep.
Audible warning now. Okay, camera crew, you wanna take one step back? Whoa, there was 2 planes up there, 3 planes in a row. That's so weird. Okay.
That's really weird.
By the way, guys, bad idea. Don't pay attention to, hey, you need to take a step to your right, please. Thank you, perfect. I wanna stick this. Okay, good. In the grass, just to prove it can be done. Remember, no close-ups.
Go away.
Okay, all right, guys. What do I have to say about this plane? First of all, one flashy light. That means that on 4S, I have no idea how long that flight was.
9.5 minutes.
10 minutes of flight time?
We took
Are
off
you
almost
kidding
right
me? I
away.
wasn't being nice to it.
No.
If I would have been out of the throttle like once, it would have been helpful. This plane is fun to fly. I've flown tons of planes. I've flown of late all the newest releases. Well, most of the newest releases. There's a few that are still waiting. But I can tell you this with certainty, guys. This plane is really fun. I was afraid. I was turned off by the nose gear. I thought it was butt ugly with the nose gear. But to be honest with you, after flying it, I'm sort of falling in love with it because it's really fun. And I don't often say this, but this plane, I like the carbon cub for looks, but it doesn't fly easy like I long for it to. This thing flies easy. I mean, like it's a trainer. It's designed to train you to fly, okay? Let me just tell you secondarily, when you crash this thing into your house, okay, and it breaks in like 3 pieces, and then you have to glue it together and tape it back together, it's gonna still fly, just like that flight you just saw. I'm not gonna go into more details at all than that, but I'm just gonna say this. If you haven't glued your planes together yet, you are not an RC pilot, and glue and tape makes them fly better. I'm just saying. Other than that, camera crew, what other thoughts?
We've done some stuff recently that's supposed to be for new pilots or easy, and it hasn't necessarily been easy.
Yeah.
This I feel like kind of is
It
living
actually-
up to its
legit.
first jet.
This
thing.
is legit.
Yeah.
The Habu, it's legit. You can fly it off of grass, and this is not well manicured. It needs to be cut right now.
And it's bumpy.
you know, and our grass is not the easiest grass. This is like a fescue,
Yep,
Kentucky bluegrass blend, but it's mostly fescue out here. And to be honest with you, it was cut at 2.5 inches, what, like a week ago?
yeah.
Because I broke out, that's why I'm all broke out with this stuff. So if I would cut this at 2.5 inches and it was nice and tightly packed, this thing would do glorious on this grass. So yes, the nose gear is ugly. That's pretty much my complaint with this plane, but I love it. It's a great flying plane. As soon as we stop this camera, I'm gonna fly it again. And you know what else I'm gonna do? I'm gonna get my son out here and he's gonna fly it, because this plane is good enough that I'm comfortable have my son fly it, and it's gonna be no problem. I have no qualms with it. The other thing is, don't forget, you can get on a Steam, you can download it.
Real-flite.
The Real-flite, the, what is it, Trainer Edition?
Yes.
And you can fly this plane with this transmitter in your hands exactly like you would. And you can plug in the USB dongle if you have the PC or laptop or whatever it is you use. It's got to be a PC though. And then you can practice without risking the plane, the battery, any of that stuff. Okay? This is a really well done job by Horizon. And I'm kind of a Horizon fanboy. You know this. I do reviews for other companies too. And I think they do a good job in general, especially on the beginner lineups and on the UMX. But this thing is a victory, big time. Between this, the Mini Apprentice, the Apprentice STS, the Carbon Cub S2, what's the other? Oh, obviously the Sport Cub S UMX, the one I learned on. You can fly for real.
Well, not me, then.
You can fly, camera crew, but you have to want to. That's why she doesn't.
Yep.
So that being said, guys, come back for more. This is the 4S flight you just saw. We also did the 3S flight. I hope you enjoyed it. Obviously, the unboxing radio setup and all those goodies are coming up, and there's just not much more to say. This thing is awesome. Check the link in the description. If you're gonna buy it from our links, guys. The other guys are great, but we're just, you know, we know you want to support us.
And you should buy it.
And you should buy it. This
That's
is
a good point.
Even if you're an experienced pilot, this thing is fun. And when you want to go out there and screw around, but you want to still do a little bit of fast flying and stuff like that and challenge yourself to get the landings in just a really short distance, that's going to be the fun challenge. And that's what I'm going to challenge myself with. You guys probably don't realize this, but that is a lot of height, and this is fairly close. And then over there, we've got, what, 16 feet of clearance before we hit the power lines?
Yep.
So you either got to go above, or you got to go under, or you got to go through. And going through is probably not going to happen with the success rate that I'm willing to play with. So we have the setup that really forces us to always kind of be on it. And if you have a big field, you may be challenging yourself to mark it and give yourself a 20-foot landing strip and do it, because it would be totally fun. All right, leave your comments in the description below, or check the description below. Leave your comments below. We couldn't be in this channel. Our success is just up to you guys. So thank you. Come back for more. We know you will. Thanks again. Bye-bye. YouTube, it's Brian Phillips. We have something huge for you today. It's so big, I can't really fit it on the counter. Oh, geez. And if you can read English, then you'll know what it is because it's written on the box. The good news is I am, as usual, the last one to the party on this. So you'll get to see, I get the last word on this thing. So I don't know. I'm excited still. I don't mind being the last one to the party. Oh, geez.
Why? What are you doing?
It's huge.
I know.
I'm doing it the hardest possible way.
I can tell.
Okay, it's coming towards you.
Ah.
Watch out.
No.
Watch out.
Sheesh.
Did everybody live?
Okay.
What is it, guys? It's a Habu. Weird. I seem to remember a time in my life where I was learning to fly radio-controlled airplanes, and I had a Habu, and me and this Habu did not get along.
Nope.
This one better be better.
Yep.
Okay, so as you guys may have heard from other reviews, wow, it's pretty. This is a ready-to-fly Habu. This is an STS, which stands for Smart Trainer with Safe. Smart Trainer with Safe. The W is
Silent.
silent. I was gonna say that too. So anyway, this also comes with E-flite simulator, and it's like a reduced version. I think it's just kind of a wet your whistle sort of style, demo style.
So it's not like the full thing.
No, but you know what else this comes with? It's awesome. It's supposed to come with a USB dongle that allows you to connect the transmitter to your computer, which is awesome. Now, I believe that's just on the PC side of things. So for us, we'll have no problems with that. But if you guys are Mac users, sorry, time to come over to the dark side. So anyway, we're gonna open this up and I am really excited. Oh yeah, I don't even have it pulled all the way out. And look at this beautiful 4,000 milliamp 3S. Now, just so you know, this is 3 and 4S compatible. 3 cells in series, 4 cells in series means you get more power, okay? So the good news is about this, you have that to begin with. Oh my goodness, there is the dongle that I was just speaking about. I'm so excited about the dongle. You know why the dongle's exciting, Megan?
Because you like saying the word.
Well, yes. But beyond that, do you know why else it's exciting?
Because you were needing one for something else recently, right?
Well, it's just nice because instead of using this crappy old wireless or wired crappy transmitter that wasn't quite, I don't know. I'm excited for this because it's going to give me the ability to use the transmitter of my choice, I believe, with the computer. And I'm really excited for that because then I can build a model in my transmitter, connect to it, and then go to town. I'm excited to try this. Plus, I don't actually have a copy of E-flite, which I know some of you are thinking, that's crazy. Brian Phillips doesn't even have a E-flite copy? What a loser. Yes, exactly. That's right. So this is the charger, okay? This is a provided charger. I want to talk to you guys a little bit about charges. This thing goes only up to 3S. That's no good. It's only good if you're going to keep the 3S. If you're going to fly on 4S, you have to upgrade the charger. I want to make that full disclosure at the beginning because I don't mean to mislead. I don't think Horizon means to mislead either, but if you're just starting, learning to fly, and by the way, just before I get ahead of myself, we are going to try this all stock. We aren't going to change a bunch of stuff or go do some upgrade. We're going to fly it on 3S, but we're also going to fly it on 4S. So this is the charger that comes with it. It's very simple. I hate when people leave that plastic thing on there because it's so gorgeous with it off.
It's for you to take off. That's
right, it is. So this thing, nope, USB-C to USB-A, okay? USB-C, and then this plugs into your USB charger outlet on your computer, whatever you want to use. And then you can plug in the discharge lead into this thingy-mabobber. That's an IC3 connector. And this is a balanced charge lead, which is actually technically unnecessary on a smart pack because this pack will automatically balance all the cells, which is, it's huge. So anyway, getting back to the point, you can charge 1, 2, or 3S packs. In this case, we're going to be charging a 4,000 milliamp 3S, which should take about 3.5 weeks. That was just a joke, folks. Calm down, people. Calm down.
On it today, aren't you?
Okay, so we've got a million different types of chargers. I'm just going to show you. This is just from an Asus tablet, nothing special about it. It happens, if you're curious, to put out 5.2 volts at 1.35 amps. Okay, so that's good. That's plenty sufficient. And if you read the fine print here, it says that you need 5 through 12 volts input at 2 amps. That's the input voltage requirement, okay? So I'm just gonna plug this in. We'll find a wall outlet and we'll show you what happens when you plug it in. This is a smart charger, so it will do what you need. It's the bare minimum. There's a light that turns on. Okay, so now that thing's charging. Now, while that's charging, we can continue the unboxing, but before we get too far ahead of ourselves, this is not included in the kit, but I'm just gonna show you what it looks like at the beginning. Ooh, it's a purple flashy light. That's fancy. Okay, so we're gonna unplug this. We're gonna show you what it came out of the box as, so that you have an idea of what to expect. It came in a storage charge. So it's just a little bit below 3.7. Okay, so we'll plug this back in and just show you what happens. It's gonna think about it. It might even start, but I'm gonna go ahead and plug in the balance lead. there is a little indicator that says negative. The most farthest to the left lead that's black is your negative. The one that's colored is the most positive. Okay, does that make sense, camera crew? Mm-hmm. The one that's orange is positive, the one that's black is negative, the one that's gray is your signal wire. There is a signal wire on a smart pack. Okay, great. Now that that's working, we'll continue the unboxing and setup. There is a lot to discuss in this package. Okay, guys, this package is huge. So we're gonna lay this down. We'll come back to that later. I'm just taking stuff out because I can't handle it. It's gonna be so exciting. Whoa, whoa. That's the nozzle. That's the nozzle, the exhaust tube. So we're just gonna lay that here. We got some landing gear, the ugliest part of this plane, in my opinion. This plane is pretty, but then the landing gear are ugly. But you know why they're ugly? Because it's easy to fly. And easy to fly planes have some ugly features. Case in point, big, ugly, soft tires that will help you to learn how to fly. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind. Don't get held up on the ugly landing gear. I promise. I promise. When you see it flying through the air, you're gonna forgive the ugly landing gear.
Are you reminding yourself to keep that in mind mostly?
I am.
Okay.
Totally. Okay, so this box is huge. Did I mention that earlier?
I don't think so. You should tell them again.
Guys, it's huge. So just to give you some idea of how huge this box is, I'm 6 foot tall, okay? Or 6'3" if I'm buying life insurance from you. So here we go. Look, we got double A's in here. Where's the knife? Where'd my knife go? There it is. I got huge boxes everywhere. We got double A's, guys. They literally give you everything you need and ready to fly. Look at this. These are...
Those are top of the line.
What brand are those?
Full Win?
Full Win.
What?
This is the brand. It's the best brand. So we're gonna put those off to the side. So that being said, when we get ready to plug those in, we'll use them. Some of the best packaging in the industry comes on Horizon planes. That's no joke, guys, no exaggeration. This thing could come from China. It could come from wherever, and it's gonna get to your house in mostly one piece. There might be some dents and dings on the outside of the package, but they do a really nice job of packaging these things. Speaking of packaging things, when you get ready to buy this thing, just check the link in the description below. I will tell you where you can buy it. And if for some reason that link doesn't work, let me know, please, and I will update you. Just put it in the comments. I try to reply to comments. I do help people that are trying to learn how to do this. You can see everything is packed up nicely. There's a little bit of tape. Horizon is the best in the industry about using foam to protect their foam. So something new if you're not used to it. Look at this. Look at this wing. Beautiful. Gorgeous. That looks really nice. Look at this, guys. You don't even have to hook up wires. You just stick it in the hole.
That's nice.
And it works. Mm-hmm. Now that being said, beautiful silver, beautiful red, big aileron. Big aileron. You'll notice there's no inboard flaps. That's because this is supposed to be simple. I got a little bit of tape on my servo wire cover. That's a little bit annoying. There's a vent that's here. Okay, so that's cool. This is where the landing aid sensor would go. That's got a spring release. So if it's sticking out, you can push it in. It's kind of like a push button sort of thing. You do not have to use the landing aid sensor. That is just a plug, okay? So the landing aid sensor is basically a small sensor that points down at the ground and it emits a signal and then it receives a certain amount back so it can tell approximately how far from the ground it is. It helps you to land. I'm not going to be using that. If you want to use that at some point, have fun with it. I'm sure it probably won't help you that much. I would just use SAFE. SAFE is awesome. Sensor aided flight envelope will in fact help you learn to fly a plane. Oh wow, look at this canopy. It's tinted and there's a dude in it. The dude is kind of looking off to the right. So,
he has a nose though.
Well, yeah, I know, he has a nose, unlike Pinocchio.
Mm-hmm. That's a pretty good canopy.
This is a nice canopy.
Yeah.
It's actually pretty sturdy. That's good too. Okay, so going along,
throw that in
this is an unboxing, folks. So basically we're gonna get everything out, and then after we're done with the unboxing, we will show you the entire assembly and setup. Look at this.
Whoa.
That's cool. It's got that goofy connector, kind of like in the Carbon Cub S2. Okay, so this tube is going to go on there eventually. That's pretty cool, the thrust tube. You know thrust tubes? Familiar with those?
I am familiar.
Okay, good. All right, so we've got that there. That's a horizontal stabilizer. And we have the fuse. Oh my goodness. That thing looks so good, like all not put together. I'm actually really excited. Look at this, guys. Rudder, elevator, minus, plus, signal. That's a servo cable layout. We've got the propeller, the proverbial lawyer.
Don't chop your hands off.
Don't chop your fingers off or other appendages that you might stick near there.
Appendages.
Taking that off, appendages. Okay, sorry. I added extra letters unnecessarily. So this has this funky flight controller here, the A3230B. It's got 8 channels and a bind plug, but it's actually a satellite receiver that's getting all the signal, and it's using pulse width, or what is that, PM? I forget what they call it. But either way, that's gonna go from there to there, and then the flight controller is gonna communicate with the receiver. Okay, so that's rubber. Feel my rubber tip. Feel it?
Oh,
you like
wow.
that?
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's gonna give you a little bit, so
yeah.
when you crash into like a concrete wall, it's probably not gonna work well at full speed. But if you trip over it, or you just kind of get like run into the dirt, you can wipe your tip off and keep your tip clean, which is nice. And it'll look the same shape after it's been deflected. Now there is foam under there, so once you crush it a few times, the nose will still give you a little bit of leniency. Okay, then the vertical stabilizer. All these things are taped in with just masking tape, and basically foam just kind of protects the foam from the foam, so the foam doesn't hurt the foam. See this? Beautiful. Got the branding for E-flite. Of course, you have to have E-flite and Smart printed all over the planes, or it wouldn't be a Horizon Hobby plane. So, as you can tell, it's like some sort of a NASCAR thing here. Okay, here we go. Look at this. Look at this. Tape joint, pinch hinge. Really big rudder. That's good. Big control surfaces.
The finish is really nice.
It is really nice. Like nicer than I figured. This is a lot nicer finish than in the carbon Cub. The carbon Cub is nice, but it's dimply. This is really smooth.
Yeah.
So when you look down, it's really smooth, and there's only a few of these mold release bumps, which is, I didn't expect that, to be honest. Guys, jets, and I don't even know if I like the terminology jet, but this is considered like a trainer jet, which is sort of a counterintuitive thing. Jets are fast. Jets are hard to fly. They land fast. They are hard to fly. Well, this thing's designed exactly not to be that, which is really awesome, because here's your thrust tube, guys. We were talking about, you know, the thrust tube. That's what everything blows through. All right, and then we've got the landing gear, the ugly landing gear. Now these landing gear don't have to be installed, but I would highly recommend that you install them. Practice landing and takeoff. Wheels up, wheels down, okay? As opposed to hand launching, which you can hand launch this plane if you have a smaller area, or you don't have a lot of ground space for good landings, but you have a lot of airspace, and you can still do that. So real quick, we're gonna look at this. This is a steerable nose gear, okay? Big, ugly, soft wheel. Got a nice spring on there so that you've got a little bit of clearance. Looks like they're not, see how it's on the inside instead of being all the way on the end? You just get hardly any output from that, but there's a lot of torque on the inside. You put it out here, you're gonna have a lot of output, but not much torque. And then of course the servo lead. That's what they were talking about earlier with the signal plus, or it's a plus voltage, signal, plus voltage, minus voltage. Okay, so that's a servo connector. Okay, so we'll lay that aside, and then we have a bag of screws. Looks like we've got some double-sided tape maybe. Got some screws, got a linkage here, so that's, not sure what that's gonna be used for. Got a bag of screws, a bag of another type of screws. You see this here, guys? Then we've got, looks like 4 bags of screws. Horizon, thank you. You put all the screws in their own bags, so we don't have to guess what's going on. We appreciate that here in the cheap sheet. See this? Tape?
Yep.
These are tapes, so we're gonna probably have to tape on the horizontal stabilizer maybe. So anyway, then an empty plastic bag. So we're left with 3 empty plastic bags. We've got some AA batteries, nothing special about these. These are gonna be clearly used for the transmitter. This is just your standard run-of-the-mill 1.5 volt AA battery. So we're going to use those to run the transmitter. And of course, the receiver inside of here is going to be run off of the E-flite pack, which is the 4,000 milliamp 3S pack over there. And just to give you some comparison, now that we more or less have this out, we got one last piece in here. There's a zip tie around the transmitter to keep it from falling out. Ooh, I always warn people, look on the bottom of the package so you don't forget your transmitter or your book. Verizon is good about hiding the book on the bottom.
That's because they know none of you are reading it anyway.
Reminds me of a pool we built once. I may have mentioned this in a previous video.
Oh, jeez.
Well, we got through. This was an above ground pool at my dad's place. And we got done unpacking, I mean, what felt like about a truckload of pieces and parts.
Millions of pieces.
It was incredible.
Horrible.
Never found the instructions.
Nope.
So they went ahead and sent the instructions. And we got done unpackaging it. We found it like at the bottom of the
like the
box.
last bag.
Okay.
Yeah.
So there's a lithium polymer warning thing that talks about dangers. Yeah. This is going to be, I don't want to show them this because it shows there's actually a code here. So this is your real flight thing. Of course, there's a code on the bottom. That code is what you can use to download or install your real flight trainer edition. So it's a trainer edition. That does come with the ready to fly version. I don't believe the bind and fly necessarily comes with that. And that's one thing I'm really excited about. So not sure how that's going to work. If I can bind my DX18, the DX18 of course is over here. The provided transmitter is still in the package, which I'm going to take out now. Again, ready to fly means that it's ready to fly. Bind and fly means that you have to bind it to your own transmitter. This is a DXS. Okay, no handle. Okay, it's got a fixed antenna. It's very strong and stiff. Got the little plastic. I can never seem to get that off around those switches. If you were to use the landing aid sensor, I don't know if the GPS is compatible with this or not for geofencing, but if it were, then you're going to be following the manual to do these things. Okay, the back of this thing has room for 4 AA's, which we're going to insert right now. AA's, as you know, there's a flat and there's a bump. Okay, the bump is plus, the flat is minus, so you just stick them in there like so. Very simple stuff. So far, the only tool I've used is a utility knife, and a pair of scissors or something to cut the zip tie would probably be preferred. Okay, so there's that. Throttle sticks down, throttle cuts on. This is throttle cut. That helps to prevent you from cutting your fingers if you had a propeller involved. But in this one, you got to really get dug in there to hit your fingers on the propellers because this is an EDF. The electric ducted fan is located here. Look at that beautiful thing. Look at this. That is gorgeous. That is so pretty. Cool. I can't wait to hear that thing. It's going to sound good. That's a 70 millimeter, meaning that it is 70 millimeters on the fan. And that fan is going to suck air and blow it out really fast, just like a jet would, which is pretty cool. Okay, so throttle sticks here. This is throttle up and down. This is rudder and your steerable nose gear. This is elevator up, elevator down, roll left, roll right from the ailerons. And then of course there's going to be a switch up here that's going to put you into beginner mode, intermediate mode, and then experience, which lets you do everything. Okay, so when you're into beginner mode, it's going to keep your plane level when you let go of the sticks. Also in experience mode or intermediate mode, you can press at any time this panic switch, which is like a trigger almost up here. That is going to automatically self-right the plane and stay self-righted for about 3 or 4 seconds. Okay, so be aware of that. If you press panic, don't panic into a brick wall. Okay, that being said, we have everything unpacked. I think we're at that point in the video where we're going to pause it, get things cleaned up, and come right back and put it together. So we're back. We kind of got the boxes out of the way. We were reading a little bit about this charger. It is compatible only with smart charge or smart packs. So be aware. Now that being said, before we get any further, I want to talk to you about what's going to happen. I talked about this is the pack it comes with. This is a 3S 4,000 milliamp hour smart pack. This is a 4S, okay? So it's just a little bit bigger. You could probably also use a 3200 milliamp 3S or a 3200 milliamp 4S, okay? But I'm gonna go ahead and just run with 4000 because that's what they're recommending. So at that point, I'm gonna turn on these other charger styles. We've got, these ones have the power supply that have to be hooked up to the little charger. You can also use a battery to power those. Okay, so this is a smart charger. This is another smart charger. The 1500 speaks to one channel at 500 watts. This is 1200, so it's one channel at 200 watts. This is an S100 or S1100, so it's a smart charger and it'll do up to 100 watts on one channel. And then this is an S2100, so it'll do two channels at 100 watts per side. And then just keep in mind, this one comes with a regular AC plug. And then this S1100 comes with an AC plug, okay? So that's nice because then you don't need the charger hooked up to a power supply, but just keep in mind, you could run two of these things off of this charger, or you could run I believe there's a way to run two of the power supplies into one of these, which is just ridiculous because you could charge big batteries. Like the people that are doing the helicopters, they might run 12S configurations, so they'll run two of these, or they'll run even bigger packs, and so you need a lot of wattage to charge those because they're just such big batteries.
What is the biggest that you can get?
I don't know. They're huge. I mean, they're like bigger than all these together.
That's crazy.
Yeah, and they're for big quads and things like that.
Wow.
So this is a 6S, just to give you an idea. So when you really get hooked, you'll go to those things. But for now, these things are nice because they will do 1S all the way up to 6S, and then all the different chemistries. So instead of just lipos, they'll do lithium ion and nickel metal hydrate, and you know, all the different types. The lithium polymer is just what we use in the airplane world. But the guys that are doing cars and things like this will have some other technologies. And then there's also packs that are used to charge or to discharge at a different rate. And you might have one of those in your transmitter. This is the other transmitter I was going to talk about real quick. You don't have to use the stock transmitter on this. You can buy this as a plug and fly or a ready to fly. There isn't even a bind and fly option on this particular configuration. And that's probably wise because they got a lot of technology built into this that's really shaped around new pilots, okay? So if you're gonna buy this and you really just insist on bind and fly, unfortunately, I don't think they're offering that. So anyway, back to the point. We're gonna charge these 4S packs. I'm gonna show you just how complicated this is. Watch this. You plug that thing in, okay? And then you plug in the balance lead, okay? And then it goes. See? There, it's charging. Okay, so that was hard, right? Nope, it wasn't hard. It was super easy. So I'm gonna do the same thing here. I'm just gonna plug that in. The negative lead goes down at the bottom where it's indicated that the negative lead goes. See that? Then this one, I have to actually press the middle button. It saves all the settings, and then it just pulls it up, and you just have to hit start, and it goes. This is great if you guys have kids that are gonna be using these. The most dangerous part of this application is not flying, believe it or not. It's the batteries. So charge when you can keep an eye on what's going on. Charge on a hard surface. You can use a lipo-safe bag. There's a lot of safety features built in these safe or the smart packs. For instance, they self-discharge. It's a very big deal because you don't want these things to stay charged for a long time because then it will ruin the chemistry inside these packs, and they're quite expensive too. So that being said, I'm just gonna plug these in, let them get ready to go so that when we're ready to fly, we can go ahead and take advantage of having the extra batteries ready to go. And as I mentioned earlier, we're gonna be in close proximity, so we'll be able to keep an eye on these batteries. Now, one other thing, when you have a smart pack, you can select the channel and start it, and it's gonna ask you, do you wanna do it without the balance lead charge, the balance plug inserted, and it'll go ahead and charge without, which is pretty cool. And you get all the data there. Of course, this is stuff you may or may not be aware of if you're new to the hobby, and you can press this and stop it. So I only jump into that for a few minutes here just because I want you to know that the little charger that came with this setup is probably not going to be the charger that you retire your flying career with, but it's going to get you started right away, which is really cool. So everything you need to actually be in the air with this plane is included in the box, and that's really cool. So now without further ado, now that we got 1 million batteries charging, we're going to go ahead and start this process. So as you know, we already turned on the batteries, or we put the batteries into this DXS, which is it's a Spectrum, it's economy level. It's going to get you in the air, okay? No frills, right? Well, it's actually got a lot of channels. This is a really high quality radio system. It just happens to be the one that comes with it. So, assembly of this plane. I talked about the manuals being really good. This is the Habu STS. Very good manuals. Don't be overwhelmed by how big it is. It's in Italian, it's in French, it's in Spanish, it's in Dutch, and it's in English. Oh wait, is it in
German,
Spanish?
I think too.
Italian,
like 6 languages.
French, Dutch, and English. Okay, I think there's another set they send to other territories.
Yeah.
So that being said, when you buy this plane, don't be overwhelmed. It's got a lot of information in here. Most of it you don't even really need to read, but I would recommend that you read through it if you're not familiar with this. If you're just watching this video, we're gonna go over a lot of it, probably more than you need. But when you're done with this video, I would highly encourage you to read through the information. Also, the Horizon lawyers would love to see me doing this.
You're not doing anything.
Whoops, because I don't want to see that thing ever again. I'm not going to stick my hand in the blade, I promise. So the instructions start out on page 1, as you can imagine.
Wow.
And the first thing they do is they talk about the different specs. They show part numbers for spare parts. They show the size, they show the weight. This plane is big enough that you have to be registered with the FAA, which is really not that big a deal. You basically put a sticker on the outside that shows your FAA number. Of course, I make mine really hard to find because I'm going to be filming it. And it talks about the different conditions of the colors on the charger, which is nice. If you ever lose your manual for a plane, go to horizonhobby.com and you can find all this documentation right on there.
Yep.
The other thing is, check the link in the description below. It will take you straight to Horizon Hobby's website. You can buy from there, you can help support our channel, you can take advantage of all the different sales that's going on there, coupon codes or whatever it is you have, rewards points, flight members, whatever it is that they've got going on, and you can help support our channel, which is really nice. So I want you guys to be aware of that, but you can also use that as a shortcut to go and find documentation if you need to. So it should be right at the top of the description. If you're going to use a computerized transmitter like my DX18, for instance, it says right there, DX18. So it tells you what to do in order to set it up. And this, unlike the Carbon Cub S2 that we just worked on yesterday, we set up our programmable radio system for that, and they did not talk about what channels were doing what. We had to kind of figure it out from backward reverse engineering here. And they're saying that safe flight mode selected on channel 5, and then the panic mode is reserved for channel 6. Now remember, this is full safe. It is not safe select. A lot of the new planes you see coming out have safe select, which means that it's basically piggybacking on AS3X. AS3X is at the heart of safe. No matter what plane you're dealing with, artificial 3-axis stabilization is going to help with wind, environmental impact like thermals and things that you'll be flying through and you won't see, and it's going to blow the plane. But the transmitter knows when you're giving it input, and it differentiates between the impact of the wind moving the plane or blowing it down or pitching it up or doing whatever it's going to do. And it differentiates between that and what you're telling it to do to try to keep the plane flying straight. That's AS3X. Now, alternatively, safe goes one step further, and that takes this plane and it brings it level when you let go of the sticks. Or if you're in experience mode and you press the panic button, it's going to bring you level and true and straight. Okay? Now, nothing can fight the full force of Mother Nature, but it's going to give you a very, very good chance of getting you in good level attitude. That being said, fly in decent weather when you're first learning. If it's really windy, just don't do it, okay? I can fly in high winds, but I still don't fly in extremely high winds. Don't fly in bad weather like thunderstorms, that's dangerous. And you're responsible for what happens to this plane once it's in the air, so be careful. Get some help if you need it. It's really, there's nothing to be ashamed of if you need some help. If you can find a flying club to be part of, that's great. Obviously, check the Know Before You Fly website for the FAA. Make sure you do whatever you're supposed to do for your local laws and rules and things like that. So before we go any further, that's what we're going to do. We're going to start building this thing now. So assemble the aircraft. The wing installation, you're going to use the short ones and the long ones.
Okay.
Looks like the short ones and the long ones. Looks like the long ones, there's 1, 2, 3 long ones and 1 short one. Okay? Or no, 2 and 2.
2 and
Or it
2.
says there's 2 of those and there's 2 of those.
Yeah.
So there's 4 bolts here.
Long.
That's short. Okay, got it. All right. So we need a short, and a long, and a long. So we got 2 bags. Long, short. It looks like there's 3 of these and 3 of these. Horizon is good about giving you extras, so don't freak out if you see 3 and the instructions only call for 2.
Yeah.
You didn't necessarily screw up, although sometimes they don't give you extras, so don't be too surprised. The more advanced the plane, the more trouble you're going to have reading the instructions because they're going to be less good. On these new planes that they're coming out with, these STS planes, when it says STS, that means it's going to be designed to help you learn to fly, and this is no exception. Okay, so I got those screws. We need to attach it to the fuselage. If you don't have a plane stand, I just so happen to have a brand new plane stand, which looks a little something like this. You don't have to use this, but I'm going to try it because some nice guy named Tom sent it to me along with some screwdrivers because he was so incensed by my lack of having one that he sent it. And then the US Postal System decided it was going to open the box and screw it up and not send the actual pieces that go in here, which is how it works.
But it still works.
But I got a nice little clear bag from the Postal System that apologized for losing my crap and then made an excuse about how they lost it. So there's pins there. You want to line those up with this. See how those 2 are going to key into those holes. Okay, and you remember that landing aid sensor I was talking about earlier? This just basically pops into there and then it hangs onto it for you, okay? That looks a lot less ugly when it's the same color.
Yeah, it makes a big difference.
Yeah.
It just kind of blends in.
Okay, so we got that plugged in. We got the short one front, short one in the back. Now you guys might have already figured this out because you're watching this live and in person. But what's going to happen is, number 2 screwdriver please, hon. There you go, thanks. So what you're going to do is, we'll usually start a video with a flight because that's what most people want to see. Then we will follow it up with an unboxing and radio setup and or build or whatever is necessary for that particular model. We've done this for hundreds of planes and we love doing it. But if you want to go back and follow some of our older stuff, we have literally thousands of these videos, not thousands of planes, but thousands of videos. That's not an exaggeration. Enough to keep you busy for a long time. So until such a time that you feel comfortable doing this yourself, you can live vicariously through my life in the camera crews. So just tightening these, I got a number 2 Phillips screwdriver. Just tightening until I feel resistance, and then I'm pushing harder and turning harder, and you can actually see the foam crush. You want to have a good bite on this. Show the people at home when I start crushing the foam. I'll let you know when it gets tight. Okay, watch. You'll see it start crushing. I'm pushing hard. You see it crushing? See what's happening? Now, I'm going to go back and I'm going to tighten this too. See how it's starting to crush? That's because you're getting a really good bite on there. Now, that being said, this plane is a 70mm EDF, similar to the F-16 that we reviewed not too long ago, but it's going to be a little bit slower plane because the airfoil is designed to fly slower and produce a lot of lift. Okay, so that's the airfoil. Air goes under here. It takes longer to go under there than it does to go over here, so that produces lift. Okay. All right, so we got the wing put on. This thing is making a sad song. Do you hear it? What that is meaning is that there's no activity. So I'm going to shut this off. You notice you can't bump that and shut it off on accident. You have to do it on purpose because you're sitting there holding it for a few seconds.
Which is a good feature to have.
Okay, page 2, looking at the nose gear. We've got nose gear assembly here, the big, fat, ugly wheel, okay?
Hey, somebody might like the wheel and you're making them feel bad.
You know what? Don't feel bad if you think the wheel is beautiful. I don't understand why. Goodness gracious.
What is that?
8 screws?
Oh, I want it to come out. The little ones?
Must be these ones. Because 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Okay, so that's right. It wouldn't be these because there's not enough.
Well,
there's not enough. If
okay.
this is the one that's the only one it could be. So it's the smallest screws. So we got to put this, we got to plug this in first. So let's show the people how this works. Now this plane stand, this is already coming in kind of handy. We used to use a blanket. The blanket works really good unless you turn on the motor and chop a hole in it. So I'm going to use my pinky finger to bring this up, and I'm going to show you. Okay, that's the plug. You see how there's an orange, red, and brown? That's the servo extension cable. I'm going to take this and I'm going to line up the orange to the orange, the red to the red, and the brown to the brown. Now the red's in the middle, so it's always going to line up no matter what you do. And if you try to plug this in wrong, it's going to be hard to insert it.
It's hard to put in the hole, and it's the wrong way.
Well.
Yes.
And this is the direction it goes, guys. So, how do you tell what direction it's supposed to go, guys? How do you tell, camera crew?
Well, hold on, I can't see.
Inlet.
My hand is in the way.
There's an inlet, okay? And you also would not line up your holes if you had it wrong.
You wouldn't have enough length on your servo cable either, would you?
That's possible too, yeah. So this is the bag. So now I think we might need the little screwdriver for this one because these screws are quite a bit smaller. A number 2 screwdriver is probably gonna be a little bit big for this. So I'm gonna dump these out onto the impossible to find counter. Oh yeah, this one here is a Craftsman PO. So this is a size 0 Phillips screwdriver. Ooh yeah, got the plastic to plastic. It's like my least favorite type of screw job. Yeah, that's not very fun to put in. Ah man, I might have to get a drill for this.
There's 8 of them? Oh,
There's
really?
8 of them, goodness gracious. Okay, what we're gonna do is just to avoid the rigors of boredom, we are going to pause it while I get these screws inserted because there's a million of them.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay, so we're done with all 8 of those. Now we put the main landing gear in. No, I did not use a drill to put those in, camera
at
crew.
all.
Why would you
I said
insinuate that? Okay, so this shows they appear to be the same, okay? So there's not like a left and a right that I can tell because if you look at these, they are exactly the same. So the way this works is you slide it in, and then as you slide it in, you kind of let it drop down, and then it latches in, okay? So yes, you can take those off, and of course you can break them off. But I would recommend that if you decide to fly this, like I said, you're gonna wanna do wheels up, wheels down, get used to it, get good with it. And you'll notice that on the ground, especially with this landing sensor, I'm actually putting this thing in backward if it'll fit. Dang it, it won't fit. It only goes one way, see this is offset. Because if you're doing a belly landing on this thing, that's gonna wanna pop out every time, so unfortunately. Okay, so we have the landing gear done. Now we gotta put the tail section on. I can't believe how easy this thing is going together.
Why did you have to say that?
I know, jinxed. Okay, so now we're gonna put the A on the tail. Okay, so we wanna keep these wires kind of in control. Elevator and rudder. And you're like, Brian, there's no rudder on there. Well, that's because the rudder goes on top of it. Okay, so it says rudder. So when we put this down, it keys in, but you're gonna have to have the plugs done first, okay? So elevator goes on the bottom, minus is brown, okay? So you see how that brown there? Then red is plus, and then signal is orange. So you wanna have that just like this, and you can slide that into the socket there. Ooh, that feels not so good. Ooh, that feels like it's gonna pop out. Then, same thing with the rudder, okay? And yes, it does matter which one goes into what hole. Big time. Okay, so those are plugged in now. So now I can sort of keep the slack up on the top and then make sure these little tails don't come out the side because they'll look bad. So I'm just gonna kind of tuck those down. Okay, so that's in there now. So once those are plugged, now we need to put on the tail section and the good old thrust tube. So you got the tail section here and the thrust tube. It looks like I'm trying to figure out if I have to do this first. So you see how there's that little hole there?
Yeah.
That hole is going to allow that linkage to stick out.
Oh, yeah.
So what I want to do is I want to kind of stuff this excess down in such a way that I'm going to preferentially put that up at the front because I think I have more room up there. Oh yeah, that wasn't too bad at all. Okay, so there's a screw. So looks like, why are they only showing 2? Oh, because we're supposed to put those screws in the next step. Okay, so I gotta go find the screws. Looks like they are probably gonna be the big ones. We're gonna need this linkage next too, I can just tell. 2.5 by 8 and 2.5 by 8. Why would they label these differently? C, G, it's the same thing, right?
It's not confusing at all.
So we have 1, 2, and then we have 1, 2, 3 with 1 extra. So there's 1 extra of everything so far. And yes, do please keep all of your extras, put them somewhere safe, and you'll be able to recover them if you need to. So I'm going to take the first 2 screws and I'm going to tighten down here. Okay. This is going to hold down the tail. Ooh. There's a piece of plastic that's on this foam. It does not like to use that. Let's use the smaller one if it'll go. Yeah, that's working. Man, show them from the side. That's awkward. Don't worry, guys. I'm not using a drill for this step at all.
Do you want me to pause while you finish
With the screwdriver.
with your screwdriver?
With my screwdriver. So this is an impact. You probably, normally you don't want to use an impact, but the only reason I'm doing this here is because I can't apply the pressure down and turn at the same time effectively. So I'm just doing this to make it a better joint, okay?
Be super duper careful.
Yeah, don't use the impact part of the impact drill if you're using that. This just happens to be a Bosch impact drill. I typically don't use drills
Like
for this
hardly
stuff,
ever.
like almost never. Okay, I got it. And this bit is just the right size to barely make it in there.
This isn't odd assembly.
It is a little bit strange. Yeah. You know why they're all assembled like this, right? Because this is a trainer, they want to make it easy to fix. And so when you fix something, you can just buy the whole assembly. So that's annoying when you have to buy the whole assembly, but it's great
If
when you
need
can. Exactly. So this is the tail. That probably would have made better sense to put in before I tighten those screws, but it's okay. So just turn it until it keys in, because it is going to key in at certain spots. You see that? So if you try to do it this way, it won't go until it gets lined up. Then it'll go. So that's perfect. And you use the tape to actually hold that on. So we'll do that next. But since I've got the drill here, I'm just going to go ahead and screw away. Okay. This is a number 1 Phillips bit, by the way. A number 0 or a number 1 is fine. I'm going real low on the torque. And then I'll probably come in here and follow up and just make sure that I don't need a little bit more tidying up. Oh yeah, it's feeling good. It's feeling good. And then one more underneath the rudder. Don't forget that one. I could see that one hiding from somebody. Okay, see a little bit of crushing as I push hard on there. Awesome. That's a really easy assembly.
It is. It's just...
We got a tape. We use those little things. Show the people. See this, guys? These are little pieces of tape. They got backing on them. They don't really say how many of them to use, but I'm assuming they want us to use all of them, maybe. Or maybe they're just giving us extras so if we need more.
I think it just says with included tape.
Okay. Oh, you read something? Like instructions?
I'm the girl.
I just looked at the pictures.
I know.
I was like, ooh, pretty picture. Okay, here we go.
Somebody has to.
Oop, oop. Okay, so I've got that stuck on there, and to be honest, that's probably enough, but I'll just use them up because I don't want to save these for another time, even though
can you repeat that?
they'd be useful for another project.
You're not saving something for another time?
I'll keep them.
You'll keep the backing just
for Christmas
fun.
wrapping projects.
Yeah, because you wrap so many Christmas presents.
Yeah, I mean, if I get them for myself, of course. All right, here we go. So it's taped. I just used all 4. I don't really think it matters that much. So this is just the backing. That can be discarded. All right, so going to the next page. We have to put together this linkage here. This linkage controls the servo to the rudder, okay? So the rudder, it's calling for the outside hole of this linkage and the outside hole of the rudder, okay? So that's what they're calling for. You want this to be neutral. This evidently is square, okay? So if it wasn't square, then I would be concerned that it may not be centered. But if you're in any doubt, you can actually use the little servo tester that we used earlier, and you can plug that servo directly into this plug here, and you can use a battery to energize the circuit, and then you can center the servo and you can walk it left or walk it right. So this is a really good tool to have. If you start flying planes a lot, you're gonna wanna get one of those, and they're very inexpensive. So, all right, so obviously we want this to be centered. So like if I were to push this in right now, it'd be sticking out like that. Show them from the top. Nope, more.
I know you're gonna get.
See how it's over to the side?
Yep.
How about you go right there? See how that's where it'd be. I want it to be there. So that means I need to turn this. I need to turn this 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, we'll see if that's enough. Okay, not quite there. We're really close. So maybe another 1 turn, 1 turn. One half turn more. Okay, so there's 1/2 turn. Nope, 1/2 more. 1/2 more turn in. See how it's kind of lined up now? I could actually go another half even. And of course, there's going to be some trim on the transmitter. Gosh, I don't know. That looks pretty good.
Yeah. Tap it. Thank you.
See how it's lined up, guys? Nice and straight. I feel like maybe it actually needs another 1/2 turn. Another 1/2 turn for good measure. This is where it pays to be anal retentive. Because I'm looking at the color from behind the rudder for this hole, okay? So that's what I'm looking at. And I'm just imagining that this is an imperfect surface. Because you see if I push it, it kind of goes and stays. So I'm just kind of splitting the difference. I think we're where we need to be. And that's going to be just a little bit different on each plane, so don't worry. It's not like you have to copy what I did there. You just try to get it centered. All right, so that's the last setting. Now, if you're doing a plug-and play or plug-in fly, PNP or PNF, that would be the alternative method to purchase this plane. And this is what you would do if you were buying everything. If you buy this as a plug-and fly, you've either crashed one and you need the body, or you're not going to use any of this stuff. Because if you're buying this as a plug and fly, you're not buying it as a plug and fly for all the safe stuff. And by the way, when you see a plug and fly, you'll notice it's cheaper. That's because that's all the expensive stuff, okay?
Yeah.
So in case you hadn't figured that out, if you see a bind and fly and a plug and fly, and you're like, wow, the bind and fly is like $20 more. Why don't you just go look at the radio components, and you'll see why the bind and fly is such a good value. Because usually it's about $20 or $30 more, and it's like $100 for that piece. Plus you have to set it up and program it. It's a lot of work, and you probably won't be able to get it exactly right. You'll have to do some guess and check. Okay, so this next thing talks about putting the flight pack in, and then here's the center of gravity. So we're gonna be 90 to 95 millimeters back, or 3.74 inches, because we all measure our inches in 0.74s.
I always do.
That's why they give us 90 to 95, in case you guys were wondering. And that is from the inboardmost edge, leading edge of the wing. Now, in the past, I have made the mistake of indicating wrong how to do this. I'm gonna indicate this right. We wanna be 90 to 95. So I got the world's most expensive calipers. So down here we have millimeters. I can tell because that says centimeters. So I wanna go 90 to 95. So there's 90 right there, okay? World's most expensive calipers.
This only works if you buy your calipers from the dollar store.
Whatever, this is
I don't
from like
even know where those came from.
I don't either. Look. So this is how you measure that. You do not make a piece of paper and roll it on there because you actually lose distance there. So you're gonna imagine a line from the leading edge to wherever it touches, okay? I'm gonna make a little bump. Okay, now 95 is right there. Was it 90 to 95?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Okay, and so I'm just gonna imagine the same spot. Okay.
It's not a very big range there.
No, it's not. Okay, now I did red because this plane is red. And I can feel that little bump. And you're thinking, Brian, you just gouged a hole in there? Yes, I did. Now, the alternative method, which works really nice too, is to take a piece of clear tape, lay it down, take some hot glue, get it just hot enough to work, and then put it right on the mark. And you can do the front and the back range, and then you can transpose that to both wings, and I'll show you exactly how to check the CG. Okay, so we're at 95 here, so we're gonna mark the back one first. Okay, so I'm just going right from the leading edge. There's the back. Then I'm gonna go to 90. There's 90. And that is a small range, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Okay, so then I'm gonna take my red marker and I'm gonna go boom, boom, okay? Now we're gonna know that that's the CG range. So obviously you have to have your battery installed, then you have to have the canopy installed, but then you're gonna basically hold this and you're gonna feel those bumps with your middle finger and you're gonna know which one you're dealing with because there's actually two holes. Okay, so I'm gonna basically put the tip of my finger in the middle and then I'm gonna feel it. So obviously it's tail heavy because it's sticking up into my armpit. But when this is working, it's gonna balance out like that, okay? And you're like, Brian, it's upside down. I'm not flying upside down, I'm new. That's the way you do it. You do it upside down because if you have a plane that has a low wing, you flip it upside down. If you have a plane that's a high wing, then you do it right side up. It just depends on whichever direction. Because gravity doesn't care what direction you go.
Don't break our dollar store thing.
So now we can put the canopy on. I want to show you guys a problem with mine. It's not like a big problem, but it is an issue that you want to make sure you're aware of. See these wires that come off of that electronic speed control? There's two capacitors there. They're the silver thing with the black around it. Those are part of the electronic speed control. Show the people what I'm doing. You see how that's squishy and it won't go back? That's because those wires are in the way, and that's the wire that runs the ESC. So I'm just gonna actually stick my finger in and push it back just a hair, okay? Don't worry, it's okay. It's okay, calm. It's okay, camera crew. Don't fret. Okay, now to release the hatch, you just push this button and it comes right off. So you guys may have to do that to yours too. It was just a little, just a little insertion, no big deal. It'll be fun for everybody. So anyway, now we need to get the battery off of the charger. I've got a purpley, flashy, lighty thingy.
So that one's not done then.
Does that mean it's still going?
Yeah, it'll be solid green. This will be solid green when it's done.
Okay. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna just use the other pack. It doesn't really matter, they're all the same, same size. We're gonna start with 3S. Obviously, this one's at 99%, this one's at 0.9 amps of speed. So this one's actually this one just went over. It just got done. Let's show the people at home. This one just went from 99% to green. See, it says 100%. Nope. If you're new to the hobby, this would be a great choice because it's gonna get you all the bang for your buck. It's gonna give you 1 through S or 1 through 6S. So you're gonna charge up to the bigger packs. You can press this when you're done. You don't even have to press anything. The charge, look at this, charge done. That's so fancy, so
That's
cool.
the easiest one to use.
This one is so easy.
Even the camera crew can use it.
then I unplug it and just let it sit. Now they have cooling fans on. This happens to be a 4S, so we can't start with that one, but we'll have it ready to go.
What else do we have?
We have 3S right here. Oh, looks like the other 4S just got done. So you can press that and it'll be done and it'll go gray. Then you can carefully unplug them. So we have two 4000 4Ss.
That top one's almost done.
Yeah, this one's really close. This one doesn't have a status monitor, but 4.2 volts is what it's aiming for. And you can see it's 4.2, 4.2, 4.2. And this is a 4000 milliamp hour pack. It's a 3S. You can also scroll to the second page and it shows you the internal resistance. You see?
No.
So the internal resistance is good on this pack. I can tell that this one is getting really, really close to being done. So we're just gonna give that a minute. This one here is at 4.19, 4.2, and 4.2. So each of the individual cells are really close. So this one will be done next. What we're gonna do is we're gonna go ahead and verify the CG. And the way you verify the CG is this. They cheat for you. Let's look at this, guys. With a 3000 or with a 3S 4000 milliamp, the battery is installed all the way forward in the battery compartment. Only the front strap will be used. So for 3S, we're gonna slide that thing all the way to the front, okay? See how there's a front
Like all the
bulkhead?
way?
Yep,
Huh.
all the way to the front. For S, the battery's installed centered in the battery tray using both front and rear straps. Okay? So, that being said, if you wanted to use a different size like 3200 milliamp 3S, oh, by the way, this one's done. They just finished. Both of these just finished.
Good.
Of course, while we're off camera. See how it went green from blue? So you know it's done? Now you're done. You can unplug. These things are way prettier too than my last charging configuration. This is what I used. Well, I mean, I only had 2 chargers then. Now I have 1, 2, 3, 4. I have more. So we're gonna have these batteries ready to rock and roll. It's gonna kind of kill me to start on 3S because 4S is gonna be so much more exciting, but we're gonna do it just because we care about you, YouTube. So, ready? We're gonna stick this all the way in. That's all the way to the front. Then these, the world's crappiest Velcro straps, you'll find quickly that I'm correct. You're going to try to pull them and they won't come to you and you'll probably rip them in half, so don't. So I'm just gonna show you what I've done in the past. I kind of hold it tight and then I fold it over on itself. And you're like, Brian, is that really what you do? Yes. That's really what I do. And you see it doesn't stick that way. So you kind of have to get a little bit creative to hold it down and get it out of the way. Otherwise that gets stuck in your door. Now, you'll notice that that still has the ability to slide. So it would be ideal to figure out a way to slide this through and then cinch the extras, okay? But that doesn't ever work unless these things are free. The problem is what I found is that these things oftentimes get glued when they're mounting this plastic to the foam. So just don't be surprised. I don't think Horizon is trying to make your life difficult. It's just the nature of the beast. So what I found, the easiest thing to do is to kind of squish the battery over to one side and you have to really just kind of manhandle it in there. Pull it tight and then stick it down with your other finger. And you'll notice that that's still a little bit loose. The other thing you can do is you can put down Velcro on the bottom and Velcro on the battery and you can pretty much just stick it wherever. But I think we're good like that.
Okay.
I think we're good like that. Okay, and I'm just walking this excess Velcro down. See what I'm doing, guys? I'm just kind of walking that down. That way it doesn't pop up and get in the way of stuff.
On the side.
On the side. Yep, you see how I stuffed it down? Okay, so now how do we go forward from here? We have to have the transmitter on. I forgot to peel that off. Oh, yes.
I can't believe you did that.
I know. Uh-oh, it's pulling the whole label off. Look at that. Ooh. You don't want to lose that. So, throttle stick down, throttle cut, like when it's towards your belly, that's on, okay? That's in beginner, intermediate, advanced. Okay, so all the way back. This would be for an accessory that's not actually hooked up now on channel 7, correct?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So it could be flaps if you added flaps later, or it could be some other like landing aid sensor or whatever. We're gonna turn this on. This little set of green lights will tell you your battery voltage at the plane. Mm-hmm. Very helpful when you're flying, because when you get that first beep, you're gonna have a little bit of warning. That, I mean, when I say the first, I mean the last. It's gonna start here, it's gonna work its way down. It goes solid, then it starts flashing. Then it switches to solid, then it starts flashing. Then it switches to solid, then it starts flashing. Then it beeps, and it starts flashing when it's low. Okay, does that make sense, guys? Mm-hmm. So, land at the first warning. You're new with this. If you wait until you're out of batteries, you will crash and the plane will be destroyed.
And maybe,
plan on it.
Maybe like don't wait until the beep to figure out what your landing
process
is going to be.
No,
yes.
And that is a very good detail. When you fly a plane for the first time, give yourself lots of room, not like where we fly. Give yourself plenty of place to carry out if you make a mistake. You want to be able to go around if you have an accident, or if you don't quite feel like you're going to get down in time and you're way past the runway, just take off, go around, come back, okay? Land and take off into the wind. If the wind is blowing toward us like this, you want to go that direction. If the wind is blowing this way, you want to go that direction. If the wind is contrary to the runway, if it's crosswind, don't fly. You can fly, but it's harder. So that being said, those are all things to take into consideration. Power lines, what do they say in the Chinese manuals? They say
people,
hospitals,
playgrounds, hospitals,
hotels, I don't know, children
casinos.
On swings. Yeah, they come up with all sorts of weird things. But just whatever, just think of it like this. If I were to crash into that, would somebody get hurt? Okay. Secondly, don't fly over people. That's one of the FAA things. Fly as part of a club, a community-based organization. Just read their website. You can figure out the rules yourself. I'm not into that sort of thing. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna go fly this. By the way, thanks, Tom. This thing works good even though the US Postal Service screwed it up.
Thanks for saving my blanket.
That's right. Well, he was a few years late for that.
That's true.
So what we're gonna do is transmitter's on, throttle's down, throttle cuts on. We're gonna plug in the IC3 connection here and here. Okay. Everything's gonna come to life. You see that beautiful purple light? Watch for lots of dancing and elaborate moves. You see all this going on? Wowzers, look at that. That's fancy stuff. Okay, after the dance is done, then you can go ahead and get ready to fly. You can tell things are connected by, first of all, you can see that you have your status. So you can tell what it is. That's hard to see in the sun, by the way. You can also check. There's no light on the outside of this one, regrettably. We are gonna check the CG before we do anything else. There's 2 dots and 2 dots. Same thing I talked about. I'm gonna take my middle finger. I'm gonna apply my middle finger to those 2 dots so that the pad of my finger is flat in the middle. That's a little tail heavy if you ask me.
Yeah, but you're all the way forward, right?
Am I?
Yes.
Yes. Well, I guess we're gonna fly it that way because that's what Horizon says to do. Now, let's talk about control surfaces before we get outside. Ooh, this thing feels solid. I'm really excited to try it. Okay, so rudder. That's correct. That's correct. That's correct. And that's correct. So the plane is gonna go like this or like this. Then the elevator goes up, the elevator goes down. You see how far down it goes? It's like down is nothing. Up is up, okay? Weird. Roll, roll, roll. Elevator, elevator, elevator. Okay, so everything is working. Now, we're in beginner mode right now. How do we tell if we're in beginner mode, camera crew?
If it tries to self-right when you're upside down. But
we haven't given it throttle. Throttle cut is off. Over 25%, throttle cuts back on for safety.
Yes.
See the ailerons? It's trying to find the fastest route to level. See, now I've gone over level, so it's gonna come back. Now watch the elevator. See the elevator? It's trying to find level. It's still trying to find, there's level, okay? Now watch the rudder. Doesn't do as much. That's just gonna work to stabilize you, okay? Now, when we're in limited bank angles, when you move the stick all the way, I am trying to turn, I'm trying to turn, whoops, turning the wrong way. See how it stops? That's the limit to your bank angle. How can I tell that's the limit? Because the ailerons start fighting me then. That's your limit, okay? Now the other way, that's your limit. Now the elevator, watch the elevator. I'm pulling all the way back on the stick. See, that's your limit, okay? That's as high, as steep as you're gonna be able to go. Now down, that's as steep as you're gonna be able to go down, so barely. Keep that in mind when you're landing. It's gonna take a while. Inexperienced, watch this. See how it moves more? There's your regular, there's your advanced, or experienced. It doesn't limit your angles, you can keep spinning, okay? Watch the elevator, all the way up, it doesn't limit. You can go whatever direction. It's gonna keep doing what you tell it to do, but then watch this. See that? See that go up? When I lift it up, that's AS3X working. Same thing with the rudder. It's going wherever I push it. And watch the elevator, it's gonna come up. You can't hardly see it because it's just too hard to film. So that's the way the AS3X and the safe work together. And then if you're in experience mode and you panic, it's gonna bring you level. But it's gonna stay in that mode for a second and then it's gonna stop. So see, 1, 2, 3, and then it stops. Keep that in mind. When you panic, you need a few feet for it to flesh out the rest of the flight.
Yeah. So if you panic because you're running close to a tree,
you may panic straight into
the tree.
Because you will still be able to control the plane, but you're gonna be limited then with your limited bank angles. It's gonna be like up, down, left, right, and then elevator, okay? Without further ado, you've already seen the flight. If you wanna buy this thing, help support the channel, go on to the description, check the links, buy it there, help support us. We'll be here to help you when you get it, okay? We'll try to do a few videos, and guys, Verizon makes some good stuff. Don't feel bad. It's not free to fly, but this thing is a pretty good value. Come back for more. Thanks for watching.